It's showtime.
Hey, welcome to Did You Watch Survivor Last Night? This is the only Survivor podcast. My name is Jake Scheidel. Each week I ask my best friend Thomas Powell if he did indeed watch a certain reality show. Hey Thomas, how you doing on this Marquesas Monday? Huh?
It's Marquesas Monday, folks. This is a special episode where we record on a day that we don't normally record, and also it's the day that starts with the letter of the season of Survivor that we're watching. We're going to do this for every season. You can bank on it every year till we die, so get ready.
Look, if a season doesn't start with the same letter as a day of the week, we're not covering it. That's the new Did You Watch Survivor Last Night promise.
Then it's out.
Yeah. We usually record on Survivor Sundays, but today is Marquesas Monday because somebody shit so hard that their whole toilet exploded and had to get it repaired yesterday. So
I shit so hard that
Sunday.
The whole toilet reservoir filled and exploded, and I fell through the floor.
Oh my god!
It was. I did the thing where I was all covered in dust, and then I did the. You couldn't see my eyes, but then my eyes opened, and then they blinked a little bit, and then I shook myself off.
Whoa, man, were there birds around your head?
Yeah, there were some birds and some stars.
Embarrassing.
Well, what was even more embarrassing was when I was trying to leave my house to, go survey the damage. I actually walked into a door that was painted on the wall that I thought was the front door.
Oh,
and it was actually just painted on there. And I had seen someone walk through it before, so I thought that I could, but it was because they were the ones that had painted it.
I mean, that makes sense. Why wouldn't you? That always seems to happen in these cartoons, where it's like you think one thing is going to happen, and then it's something completely different. Like when you're chasing somebody off a cliff, and then they go off the cliff, and they keep running, but you run off the cliff, and then you're like, oh no, I'm on the air, and you look down, and then you fall to your death?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
You hold up a sign where you're like, oops.
Oops. Not me. Nobody's nerfect, as they like to say. Cartoons? Good. This is Jake's IMDb corner.
Yeah, speaking of television...
It's a similar segment to Tom's IMDb corner.
Speaking of shows that aired on television...
Okay, fine. Thomas, did you watch Survivor Marquesas last night?
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Jake, I did. Yesterday morning, to be more precise, but yes, I did watch Survivor Marquesas.
Well, of course, it was a Survivor Sunday. Why wouldn't you watch Survivor?
That's when I always watch it.
Of course. This week's episode was called Jury's Out. I think decent title.
Yeah, it was not bad. I'll give it a solid B-.
Yeah, I think it's still early in the show's inception, so basic, boring titles like this will still fly. But, I mean, if an episode came out today called Jury's Out, I would not be impressed. I'll say that.
No, we don't have the attention spans for that anymore. Similarly, if you read a Survivor title to someone who, like a viewer from back then, their heart would give out. They wouldn't be able to take it.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But these days, it's like, with the TikToks and everything.
Yeah, they just do a strobe light at you every time Jeff's on screen, and that's for, a solid several minutes in a row. And we're all so watching our screens, that it just doesn't, it just looks like regular to us.
Yeah. This episode first aired on April 18th, 2002. Thomas, how old would you have been on April 18th, 2002?
Jake, I would have been 10 years old.
Wow, I would have been 11 in about 1 month. Wow, I'm moving up, and you're still the same age. Last week's episode received 19.34 million viewers, and we saw Boston Rob get voted out. Do you think Boston Rob's ousting increased or decreased the viewership?
Boy, that's hard to say. I'm going to say it would be really funny if it increased, so I'm going to say 21 million people watched this.
It did, in fact, increase to 19.88 million viewers.
So, just barely. There were a few people that got the all clear.
500,000 people were like, oh, that asshole Boston Rob's not on anymore?
My friend said the Boston guy's not there anymore.
Yeah. So we start off on the Soliantu tribe, the merged tribe. Visepia told Rob that she would vote for him. Honesty is the most important trait in a person. I don't know. Zoe says the camp is more relaxed now. Sean says... No, sorry. Sean doesn't say anything. He, in fact, has a, quote, bit of a flatulence problem. I think any
This
fart
motherfucker
jokes...
was out here just... I appreciate that they had a montage of just, like... This is all the times he farted around camp.
It's good. It's always good. Farts are always funny. I don't care
That's
what
the
anybody
consequence
says.
of him. Yeah, and you know what? That's the consequence of him wanting to eat all of the reward food when John was telling him not to. All he's got, all he's got out there is an adventure, and adventure means farting.
Look, we all can agree that Sean farted so that old Joe could eat so much steak he had to quit the game.
So that he shit himself to death. R.I.P. Joe.
R.I.P. We miss you. Pascal, speaking of old guys on the season,
Yeah,
is
is this guy
missing
gonna?
his
He better
wife
not
and
eat a bunch of
daughters.
steak, otherwise he's gonna be in trouble. I think we know how that one ends.
Two trees fell from the wind overnight, and they were all excited that they didn't crash into their camp, which was nice. Kathy asks Zoe if they had a plan to get her out, and Zoe denies it. And then they'll just have a really cool, chill hang sesh at the waterfall. This is, I think, my favorite part of this season is them just enjoying hanging out at the waterfall.
Yeah, the waterfall seems cool. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
You remember on Survivor? No. Remember on Lost when they had to decide if they wanted to live in the caves or on the beach?
I do remember that.
And there was like that waterfall in the caves too. This is kind of like that.
Yeah, this is basically Lost.
It's basically
Honestly,
Lost.
I think it's fucked up that they copied Lost by having a waterfall.
It is fucked up. Why don't Damon Lindelof is owed some money, I think. They just stole
I think it is really
Waterfall?
funny. It is really funny that I remember they were playing Lost commercials like incessantly, and I was like, fuck this. Why are they making like a Survivor drama show? Like, this looks
Yeah.
dumb. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, what's happening? Why is there a polar bear? I gotta watch.
Well, okay, so there was a polar bear because they did a bunch of science experiments on the island. Thomas, you watched this show. You should know this. I can't
Yeah.
believe you asking me these questions.
Every time I think about the polar bear, all I can think is just like, guys, where are we?
Guys,
Where are they?
Yeah. It was Hawaii. That's where they shot it. It's don't tell anybody, though, because it's a secret. It's one of the biggest secrets they never revealed on Lost. But if you were tuned in like me...
Yeah, you had to be on the fan boards for that.
Oh, and believe you me, I was. Good stuff. I miss the internet of the early 2000s before it was just Twitter and TikTok.com. Man, those were the days. HomestarRunner.com and AddictingGames.com. That's all we needed. That's all we needed. But these days, it's all Twitter.com.
We were glad to get it. We were happy to have it. We were grateful.
Reddit.com. What is
I was
that?
grateful to play the game where you had to shoot Osama bin Laden to win a new iPod. You know, like I was happy
Yeah.
to have that.
I really enjoyed shooting rockets at that Bubble Man. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah. Now all we have are those weird Twitter advertisements for games where they're like, "This guy's gonna do it wrong."
You better help him
worst
before you
shit on
drop a bunch
earth.
of
They're
trash
like-
on him.
What should this guy do? Should he pull the chute that drops a bunch of like knives onto him, or should he pull the one that gives him treasure? And he does it right the first time, and then the second time he's like, "Oh, whoops! I dropped myself into the knife pit."
I like the one where it's like he can either open this window and a bunch of bats will fly in, or it can open this window and a bunch of kites will fly out, because they did find supplies to make kites, and that's going to be the reward challenge. I think this is a really good reward challenge. Just build a kite. Why not?
Yeah, go fly a kite, as they say.
They do say that. The first person to get their kite 300 feet in the air wins not only a Snickers bar, but also a scuba diving trip.
Also, it was a big Snickers bar.
Oh, yeah. Jeff did not let us forget that it was a full-size, king-size Snickers bar. So that was exciting. Kathy wins and went scuba diving. Very cool. To be honest, very cool.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah. I think now,
Jeff,
though,
if you want to recreate that reward for me, including the full-size Snickers bar, please email me.
sure. We could probably do that. I mean, how hard is it to go scuba diving? They've got them all over the place now. You can
Yeah.
go scuba diving in Lake Michigan these days.
Probably could. Yeah, you want to come out to Lake Michigan and give me a Snickers bar, and we can see if we, maybe we go snorkeling. It's fine if that's the case, but
What's your favorite candy bar?
That's a good question. I like a peanut butter Twix quite a bit.
Yeah.
I like a Heath bar, like any kind of toffee I'm into. And then I'd maybe like a Milky Way. I like a strong caramel nougat sort of vibe to my bars.
For sure. I know this goes against the question, but I love a bunch of crunch. A crunch bar? Yeah, take it or leave it. I
don't like bun. It's definitely better in that format. I didn't know they still sold that. Do they still sell Butterfinger BBs?
I don't know. I've never gotten those. I'm very intrigued by the concept, though.
They're the same thing. It's like Butterfinger,
They're
but
not
what
the
if it was like
same
little?
thing. One is Butterfinger and one is Crunch. Next thing you're going to say Snickers and Twix is the same
No,
thing.
I'm saying it's the same. I'm saying it's the same thing as Bunch of Crunch. It's the same concept. Where it's
Oh.
like, what if this was in little bite-sized circles?
Yeah, what if? What about Junior Mints? What are those all about?
They suck. They're bad candy. They taste like they have toothpaste in them.
That's because they put toothpaste in them.
Oh,
It's
delicious.
like the main ingredient. So Kathy wins this reward and gets to go see all of this underwater wildlife. Thomas, it's time for wildlife shots. We're doing it early this time because there were a lot of wildlife shots when Kathy went scuba diving. Really cool. What I really liked about this was Kathy didn't have to pick anybody to go with her. It was just like, hey, you want a scuba diving trip? Go ahead.
Yep.
All right, great. So she saw some fish. She saw some sharks. That was very hard to say. She saw jellyfish, some eel, an octopus, and also stingray. And Thomas, let me tell you this. I did forget to look up any of these animals. So I don't have any facts for you this week, and I apologize to everybody listening.
We don't have all the answers, people. All right. Sometimes you need to do some research for yourself.
As we like to say,
Do we have to do everything for you?
Google is free, so look up fish.
I
look up
honestly think
sharks.
it's just really intellectually lazy for us to introduce the concepts of these animals and you to be like, well, what? Why don't you tell me about it? It's like the search for knowledge is the only satisfying pursuit in life as it is. So like, what are you doing that you don't have time for it? Listening to us? Like, oh, wow, real mature.
Whatever. You know what I do when I'm listening to this podcast? I'm at work, not really paying attention to the podcast. So,
And Jake, I want to thank the fans for listening to us. One of the least worthwhile pursuits that there is. And we appreciate that you're willing to waste your time with us.
it's really nice. If you want to learn about anything about the wildlife shots featured this week, you can Google jellyfish with blue specks, and good luck trying to find out what that one is, because I couldn't. I forgot.
If an intrepid journalist like Jake can't get to the bottom of this one, what chance do you have?
Look, I was at work today, right? We had about an hour left of work. I had to make a delivery downtown. Then when I got back, I had about 10 minutes left in my day, and I was like, oh, I need to look up the wildlife shots. So I Googled jellyfish and octopus for 10 minutes, and didn't find anything that was suitable. So, this one's on you, listeners, and thank you again for listening. It's really nice of you.
Glad to have you.
So back at camp, Sean is aware that he is the target. Meanwhile, Kathy returns and shares the Snickers bar that she won. Would you share your Snickers bar?
Probably. I feel like anytime I eat a full-size Snickers bar, I'm like, that's probably too much.
Yeah.
I think you could just get the experience you need from like one decent sized bite, and then that buys some goodwill with everybody else. Maybe they do remember that later, that you were nice and you did that.
Yeah, maybe somebody in the finale will vote for Kathy to win because they gave her a Snickers. She gave them a Snickers. Snickers bar worth $1 million, you think?
Maybe. Well, if it was $100,000, that would be another thing.
1,000 grand bars is $1 million of chocolate.
Yep.
That's just science. That's math.
That'd be like a fun thing for them to do, right? But also, no one cares about $100,000 bars, so.
It would be very funny. Survivor 41 is coming this fall, and they're like, it's a new era, it's a new era. What if the prize is not $1 million, but 1,000 grand bars? Like, why not? Who cares?
Yeah,
It'd be
why not?
so funny. Sean, meanwhile, talks to Kathy about convincing Pascal and Nalia to come over to his side. Kathy then goes and talks to Nalia and Pascal about how the alliances are bad, actually. I miss this part of the show where they're just like, are alliances bad or not? Like, nobody cares about that anymore. I want there to be one person on the show every season.
An earlier stage of Survivor development, we were but things hadn't been cemented yet. We were still questioning them.
I want to go on Survivor. Jeff, I know you're listening. Put me on Survivor, and I'll be the guy who's like, actually, alliances are bad. So, it's good. That'll be good. People will love to watch me. Like, people already love to listen to this podcast about Survivor. Wouldn't they love even more to watch me play Survivor? So,
It's
Jeff,
a
you have my
real
phone number.
1 + 1
me.
= 2. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and 2 + 2 = 4. John then starts scrambling because I guess he knows he's the target. Pascal lets John know that he can count on him and Nalia. Okay.
Much funnier if it's Pascal lets him know that he can count. Like, don't worry about it, all right?
I watched
Done this several times.
I watched Sesame Street. I know how to count. At the immunity challenge, Jeff asks them questions about surviving on the island. Correct answers allow them to chop down another person's coconuts. This is a good challenge.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've all been good challenges. It almost would be worth commenting on more if it wasn't good, because they've all been pretty good.
Yeah. Tammy wins this one. Everybody came after whoever they were going to vote off in the next order. And that opened a lot of people's eyes, it seemed like. Visepia back at camp says that she didn't like the cockiness of some of the people that were playing the game, the challenge, whatever. Nalia is ready to jump ship after everybody chopped her and Pascal down. And Pascal believes that he is a fair and consistent judge and player. Would you agree with that?
I don't know about his judicial record. I would say he is a fairly consistent player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I seem to like Pascal. I don't know. I haven't really done any research on him outside of the game, but so far
I'd prefer
he
not
seems
to.
fine.
I like him just fine in the game. I don't need to know anything else.
Yeah, with old seasons like this, I try not to look anything up outside of that one season. It's like,
That guy might be dead also.
I don't think so.
We might have already had this conversation. I think he isn't actually dead.
I don't think so. I think that's Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy
from
is dead.
Borneo. Rudy's dead. A lot of other people are also dead. And that's what happens when the show's been on for 40 years. Some people die. At Tribal Council, John assures Jeff that there are no hard feelings between him and Sean. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I feel like John was just being a politician there.
Yeah, come on.
Get out of here.
Where does this bitch get off?
Do you think John and Sean are natural enemies because their names kind of rhyme?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the main problem. It's the main cause of friction here. What are their astrological signs? Maybe that would explain it.
Oh, God, we should look that up.
Mercury was in retrograde, and you know how that goes.
Oh, don't I know it? Yeah, it's like, whoa, Mercury, which is important for some reason. Thomas, you are a big astrology fan. Why is Mercury important?
It's you put it in the thermometer, and you can tell your temperature. It's also very good at keeping hats nice and shiny. Although it
That
makes you
is
go
important.
crazy, because it gets into your bloodstream when you touch it.
Well, that's cool. I think it's fun. Mercury in retrograde. What's that mean? Your blood gets in the mercury? Your blood takes the temperature? Your blood becomes mercury?
Yeah, like yeah, anytime that anyone says anything about that, you should be like, oh yeah, like Matt is a hatter. Yeah, no, I know. Mercury.
Yeah.
And they'll know what you're talking about. You don't need to say anything else.
Sean is proud of the game he's played this far, so that's nice. But he gets 3 votes, which is not fun. But it is fewer than John's 5 votes. John and Sean on the challenge, almost same names, coming to you this fall on Paramount Plus.
Can't wait.
So who do you think wins at this point? John's out of here. He seemed promising, but no more John.
Gonna say Kathy. I think Kathy probably wins.
We'll see. We will see. Are you rooting for Kathy? Who do you want to win? Not who do you think will win. Who would you like to see win this? We're down to the final 10, right? 9?
Who would I want to see win? That's a good question. I hadn't really thought about it that much, to be honest.
I feel like they've taken out the 2 biggest characters. Well, other than Sean, I guess.
There's a lot of,
Kathy.
like Sean and Pascal are around, but like I feel like it's a little less. I don't know. There's some ghosts in there that you don't see very many talking heads from.
Survivor Ghost Island. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go through.
I'm gonna say I don't have a strong preference. That's my answer.
Okay. How about the general, Shaq's friend?
I would love to see him win.
How about Nalia?
What about her?
Do you like her?
Sure, why not?
All right. What about her?
I guess I'd say the Vecepia is who I want to win.
Okay. How do you feel about Tammy? She won.
I don't, for the most part.
I know. I don't really know what her deal is. She is one of the few people who has a hyperlink on the website, wikipedia.org. So I wonder what her deal is now. Oh, she's a American network correspondent and investigative TV reporter. Oh, is she the...
Is she the crime reporter?
I think she was the crime reporter, yeah. She's worked for NBC Nightly News, The Today Show, and MSNBC. Great stuff. Oh, she won the Sue Hawk Award.
Crazy.
I don't know what that means, but it's on her Wikipedia article. So that's what's going on Survivor this week.
This week in 2002, that's what was going on in Survivor.
You can listen to us again next week. We're going to do the next episode. Actually, the next episode is that thing they used to do in the olden days, before binge watching was a thing, where they would just recap the first 24 days or whatever. So we'll skip that episode because who gives a shit anymore? So the next episode...
Yeah, we know.
We know. We've been watching it. We've been podcasting about it. We've been Godcasting about it. Godfather casting, speaking of Boston Rob. Thomas, what's your Twitter?
You can follow me at Tom Not Tom. I'm on there. Sometimes I'm talking, sometimes I'm not. What about? Tune in to find out.
Have you been talking about the Tour de France fiasco at all?
No, that was really funny though. I can't. It's hard to think of a more embarrassing thing to happen to a person.
Right.
Because it's like she was clearly very excited about the cyclist. She had a big sign that was like, "Go! I love bikes," and then just immediately caused like 100 bike crash.
Yeah, her sign said, "Go! I love bikes."
She was just really happy to be there. It was like, "I love cycling."
Yeah, I mean that's fair. It's exciting. And after last year, we didn't get to go to the Tour de France, so why wouldn't you say, "Go! I love bikes"?
Yeah, she had all year to make that sign.
Yeah. And what a payoff. It's literally all I've been thinking about since it happened. It's so funny. I mean, it's pretty sad that all those people got hurt, I'm sure, but the fact that it hasn't happened sooner is really surprising. You can follow us on Twitter. The show is at DYWSLN. That's it.
www.dywsln.com.
We should probably do that. Is that like a GoDaddy thing, or
I don't think we need to do that. I'm not paying
Hotwire?
money. I'm not paying money.
I refuse to pay money. What is this, America? If you want to follow us on Instagram, every few weeks I'll post a little clip from the episode of like a really funny thing that's gonna like draw people in, and it's worked some of the time. So if those people stick around,
Really knocking everyone's socks off with these great clips.
well, yeah. Another thing I like to call it when I'm just like editing it for me is like I pick out the best bits of the episode. I like to call it a supercuts
Whoa.
of the show. Yeah.
You should definitely keep calling it a supercuts and maybe like put that in print somewhere with a logo. That'll go really well for us.
Ooh, that's a really good idea. I don't know why nobody's ever done that before. You can follow us on Instagram is what I was trying to say. It's the only Survivor podcast as this is. If you came here from Instagram, we want to say thank you. If you came here from anywhere else, we also want to say thank you to listening for you. Thank you. All those words
Thank you again.
did really good. And come back next week and tell a friend, why don't you?
Hey, you're welcome anytime.
COVID's
bring
over
a
now.
friend.
So get your friends in. We're talking Survivor Marquesas every day that we record the podcast. And you can also review us on iTunes. Thomas, can you give the people the boilerplate review? Because I feel like they might not remember it.
All right, 5 stars. Anything after that, we're less strict about. But the boilerplate review is, this is my favorite podcast. I like it better than all of the other podcasts. I give it a big thumbs up.
All right. Well, my headphones just said low battery, which means it's time for me to unplug, right? And go.
Yeah, you're getting a signal. The guy's telling us we got to wrap it up.
Yeah. I've got to... So, what I'm here trying to say is have a great summer.
Deuces.
Got out of town on a boat going to southern islands, sailing to reach before a following sea. She was making for the trades on the outside, and the downhill run to Papaete. Off the wind on this heading line, the Marquesas. You got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way in a noisy bar in Avalon. I tried to call you, but on a midnight watch I realized why twice you ran away. Think about how many times I had fallen. Spirits are using me, larger voices calling. What heaven brought you?
I'm just a boy coming to a girl trying to tell her to have a great summer.
That's a reference to something.
Yeah, yep.
Notebook?
I'm trying to remember what that's from.
It's a girl looking at a boy saying,
Is it from Love Story?
just a girl. Is it from the No Doubt song?
Yes.
Looking
Oh, it's
boy.
that's from Notting Hill, I think.
Notting Hill. Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Well, I think that's also a reference to an older thing, though.
I'm just a boy standing in front of a girl asking her. Oh, Julia Roberts is in this? Is that who that is?
Yes.
Sense and Sensibility. My heart is and always will be yours.
Yep. That's what I'm saying to our listeners.
Oh, from Ghost. I love you. I really love you. Ditto. How cute is that?
So cute.
Thomas, in vain I have struggled. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. That's from Pride and Prejudice. Maybe you've heard
I
of
was
it.
gonna say that sounds like a fucking Mr. Darcy-ass thing to say.
Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, Lord, your voice is calling. For heaven brought you and me, cannot be forgotten. I have been around the world, looking for that woman girl who knows love can endure.
And you know it will. And you know it will.
Smarten up, Probst.